So Prince of Persia Remake developers have now openly put a statement saying why their game ended up looking like this.
Why you bully me?
Well, is it because of the budget or is it because of the lack of development team skills? But let's just jump right in and find out what the real truth is. Well, this information is coming from the Macro Reactor, who have said Ubisoft India explains why Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake looks the way it does. Well, this is what Ubisoft India had to reply for all the hate that they've been receiving lately about Prince of Persia Remake. The trailer for Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake was met with a swell of dislikes on YouTube, with players and pundits alike commenting on its visuals being lackluster. It made us wonder what challenges arose when making a game like this and why Prince of Persia: Sands of Time looks the way it does. The Macro Reactor spoke to Ubisoft India to find out more. Now, this is what the developers replied by saying, obviously when it touched such an iconic game, our challenge as a team for production was to actually provide the right feeling of the gameplay for Prince of Persia Remake. Because this is such an iconic game, says Perry Salvin Giris, game director. I'm really sorry if I spelled that wrong. The character is of course not going to be moving like Bayek from Assassin's Creed Origins or different characters that we have seen before. It's very unique according to the acrobatics, the velocity of Prince, and really wanted to respect the brand for the fans and the players to understand why Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, the 2013 original, was the first game of its genre and actually create a new trend for the gaming industry. Now, to be honest, as far as what I've read from this article, it does actually make sense very much when it comes to Prince of Persia, because this game is completely different when it comes to movement system and everything compared to any other games that we have played from Ubisoft. Especially Prince of Persia is very much compared to Assassin's Creed games these days, and people just expect this game to be exactly like how Assassin's Creed plays and looks. And that is something that the developer is trying to highlight in the situation here. Now, he says, movement and momentum aside, Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, featuring time blending mechanism like slow motion and rewind, Sylvain Gyrus describes how translating these core gameplay mechanism posed a concern when working with the Anvil engine. It's Ubisoft's in-house tech that powers its Assassin's Creed games. Now, if you guys didn't know this already, Anvil engine is what Ubisoft uses in order to make Assassin's Creed game, and it seems like a Prince of Persia Remake was also developed using the Anvil engine, but I'm just guessing that the Anvil engine version that they used is probably one of the oldest versions, because that's the kind of look they wanted to go for this game or whatsoever. Now, the game director here said that the principle of rewind is a headache technically. The Anvil engine was not made at all to rewind and to do slow motions, and also to do all of this time manipulation. The tech approach was very challenging. Another very big issue was the engine of this game itself and what it was originally meant to be, which is of course making games like Assassin's Creed, not like Prince of Persia. Now, it powers a lot of Ubisoft titles that focuses on system and reactive gameplay loops rather than the straightforward adventures of Prince of Persia games tend to be. Now, what the game director says here is that the engine that they used in order to develop, or at least the engine that Ubisoft provided them to use for this game, is not an engine that was supposed to be used in order to develop a Prince of Persia game, whereas this was more towards Assassin's Creed or Ghost Recon type of game. And it seems like the developers had to face a lot of challenges bringing back all of those nostalgic vibes with a remake in this particular engine. Now, the game producer Anukul, she basically says that Anvil engine is mainly focused towards making open world games, and Prince of Persia was more of a short linear game and not an open world game. So there were many challenges they had to face in order to complete this game with that particular engine. At the same time, the main challenge was to create a game where we had to play on the nostalgia and we had to give it this modern twist. She says keeping the correct balance intact is very important. So here comes the most important question. Why does Prince of Persia: Sands of Time Remake look the way that it actually is? Now, when pressed further on the reception of the game's visuals, the team explained it was a stylistic choice that they had to take. Now, this is what the senior producer of Prince of Persia said. If you take the game that was made 17 years ago, there's definitely room for improvements in terms of graphics, and we really wanted to give a unique look to the game because Prince of Persia: Sands of Time is actually a fantasy story. The narration of the 40 different levels that you have to go through in order to finish the game, immersion into the Thief of Baghdad, and all these magical environments. So we decided to go for the unique visuals treatment to make this game stand out from all the other Ubisoft titles. So obviously this game's not going to look like Assassin's Creed. It's not meant to be looking like Assassin's Creed, of course. At the same time, it also doesn't look like Prince of Persia from 2008. Now, Ubisoft Mumbai and Pune's Deputy Managing Director Syed Abbas comes up with the explanation saying that this game did not have any issues with either budget nor even the timeline. They had all the time in the world. They actually took 2.5 years in order to develop this game, and also Ubisoft provided them with all the budget they basically need. And the reason why the character models and everything looks like that in this game is basically because that is the style of art that Ubisoft India decided to go for with Prince of Persia Remake game. Now, the biggest thing that the community have been spotting on is that the prince in the poster of this game looks absolutely fantastic. Like, take a look at this character model, take at the facial impressions, and I would honestly be very happy if Prince of Persia Remake ends up being like this when it actually releases. And as we've already seen with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the character models that were shown in the gameplay demos really looked bad. But then you also need to take a look at how beautifully well rendered and how good the new character model looks compared to the old demo version of the game. Now, this is one of the images that I just wanted to show you guys from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This is how the character model of female Eivor looked previously, and in the current version or the current build of the game, Eivor looks really detailed when it comes to hair as well as the facial expressions. Everything looks much more improved. And we also have another screenshot here which is from the male Eivor, and as you can see, the skin texture, the hairlines, and everything looks absolutely fantastic on the new build of the game, of course. And I'm just believing that maybe Prince of Persia Sands of Time Remake could also end up looking as good as this poster here, which of course only time will tell, so we'll just have to wait and watch and see what Ubisoft India has to offer. With that being said, let me know in the comments down below, are you guys going to be getting Prince of Persia Sands of Time Remake? Will you be playing this game once again? I would love to know how many of you guys are going to be revisiting this world of Prince of Persia, because this game has been one of my biggest childhood memories, and I would love to go ahead and revisit this game. And I just cannot wait for this game to release on the next gen console so I could actually experience and see how this game finally looks like. And also, if you guys want to stay updated with everything you basically need about Assassin's Creed videos, then this is going to be your channel, because I cover Assassin's Creed Valhalla every single day, and also most of the games which I personally like. So I will be covering all of the stuff on this channel. So make sure you guys go ahead, subscribe, and also turn that little bell notification on so you don't miss out on my daily videos every single day. With that being said, I hope you guys have a blast already, and I'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Until then, take it easy, fams, and goodbye.